Hi friends, I hope you enjoy this crochet pattern of Norton the Snail. Norton is inspired by Norton the character in Norton's Lucky Day, a children's book by me, Shalane Koo, coming out in spring 2024. The chenille stems in Norton make him posable and super fun to play with. The supplies you will need to follow this pattern are 2 to 3 colors of darning or worsted weight yarn, a handful or two of polyfiber fill, 2 sew-on googly eyes. You can leave these off if you want to. You'll need a 12-inch chenille stem, a darning needle, and a crochet hook. My favorite size is size H, but you need whatever size you need so that you cannot see the filling on the other side. We're going to start with the main shell color, creating a magic ring. It's kind of like a knot, and then chaining 2. That's your magic ring right there. You will work 6 single crochet right into the ring before pulling it tight and closing it up. Crochet is one of the hobbies I've had since I was 8 years old. One thing I've learned is to work over the tail end of your yarn so you don't have to weave it in later. We'll have another reminder about that in a second here. We're going to work 2 single crochet into the first stitch of round 1, starting our increases. And then we are going to extend our working loop since we are working in a spiral pattern. Insert our hook into the same first stitch of round 1 that we were working into. We're going to attach that yarn with a slip stitch, and then still working over the tail ends of the yarn so you don't have to weave them in later. We're going to work 2 single crochets into each of the next 5 stitches. While we are working on this video, I apologize for the fan noise. Not quite sure how to turn that off. It's not my technical forte. One thing that I have been working on is lots of children's books. When 2 stitches of the main color remain to work into, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch and then 2 single crochet into the last stitch. Then we will extend our working loop, remove the hook, and pick up the working loop of our main color to continue our 3rd round. In the 3rd round, we are going to work 1 single crochet into the slip stitch and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and then we'll work 1 single crochet into the next stitch and 2 single crochets into the next stitch 4 times. That will leave us with a total of 18 stitches, and we will have, I think, 3 stitches remaining of our 2nd color to work into. So I'm working on children's books. The one coming out in the spring of 2024 is Norton's Lucky Day, one of many. So here's our 3 stitches of the 2nd shell color remaining. Single crochet into the next 2 stitches and 2 single crochets into the next stitch. Extend that working loop, remove the hook, and insert the loop into the 2nd color. And then we are going to work a single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches and 2 single crochets into the next stitch 5 times. Norton's Lucky Day is a super fun story about Norton, and if you haven't guessed yet, Norton is a snail. He has a best friend named Sam, and Norton is a little spacey. He daydreams during class, and he doesn't learn a few things, but Sam is sure to help him out when he's confused about something that he thinks has given him a lot of luck, and saves him from some trouble. So it's all about friendship, being a good friend, and speaking up even when it's hard to. Some other books I've worked on, you can see in the background there, a bookmark that I made to celebrate the launch of Mr. Bojangles is a Good Boy. It came out summer of 2023. When 4 stitches of the main color are remaining, you're going to single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches and work 2 single crochets in that last stitch. And you'll be done with your second shell color. So it'll be time to trim the end and bind it off by pulling the end through and the loop and pulling it tight. And then you will insert the hook into that last working loop of the main color, single crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. We're going to do that 5 times, ending up with 30 stitches in our round. Mr. Bojangles is a good boy is about a dog, and he is a good boy, but his naughty behavior causes a lot of groans and giggles from the readers. He does learn to do better though. When there are 5 stitches in second shell color remaining, you're going to single crochet into each of those 5 stitches, and then you will single crochet into the next 30 stitches. You can place a stitch marker on that last stitch after those 5 stitches if you want, just so you don't have to count to 30. I usually don't mind counting, but here I have placed a stitch marker there. Mr. Bojangles is a good boy was my 3rd book. Once you have those 30 stitches, you will place a slip stitch in the next stitch, bind off, leaving the tail long enough to sew 2 halves together, and then you are going to make a second shell just the same way. So you have 2, and then you will stuff it and sew it together. So you want to sew it most of the way together before you stuff it so it can hold the stuffing in without you trying to hold it in place while you're holding both pieces and the yarn and the needle and everything, because that's no fun. So my second book that came out was #JustCan'tChoose. It is about Jessica, a woman who loves ice cream, and she loves trying new things, but her friends recommend she goes to the Ice Cream Eclectic, which has over 100 flavors of ice cream to choose from, and she just can't choose. And she deals with peer pressure and social media challenges and things like that. Things get a little out of hand. That one's a fun one, gets a lot of kids talking about things and learning lessons about everything, including ice cream. For the body, you are going to make a slip knot, and you will chain 15. My first book was Little Petal Jumper. After you have chained 15, you're going to work in the back loops only, and 1 single crochet in the next 12 stitches. And then you will work 2 single crochets in the next stitch, which is your last chain, which is technically your slip knot that you started with. Then you are not going to turn, but you're going to work in the remaining loop of your starting chain with 2 single crochet in the same stitch, and then single crochet in each of the next 13 stitches. And then you will fold the chenille stem in half and place it over your stitches, keeping the working yarn in the back so that you encase your chenille stem in the stitches. You're going to work a single crochet in the next 12 stitches, and then 2 half double crochets in each of the next 2 stitches. And then you're going to bring the yarn over the chenille stem and single crochet into the next 2 stitches, so you're no longer working over that stem. Bringing the second half of the chenille stem over the remaining stitches, 2 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and then single crochet. A little problem with the hook, the yarn coming through here. So after those 2 half double crochet in those 2 stitches, you are going to single crochet into the next 13 stitches, which is 1 more than technically the round is, and bind off your yarn, leaving enough for you to sew on to the body. So you're going to make sure that the stems are coming from the top of your snail body, and sew the body to the bottom of the shell. Like I said, my first book was Little Petal Jumper. It's all about not letting worry get in your way. Little Petal Jumper loves the rain, and Grandma's really worried she's going to get wet, but Little Petal Jumper does not let that get in the way. She has a coat, so rain just rolls off of her. When you're done sewing, you're going to secure the end and weave it in or just pull it through and trim it. And if you want to use those googly eyes, you can thread them through the stem and then fold the stem over and pinch it to the back of the eye so that the end is not poking out and hurting anybody. And then once you have the eyes on, you have one more choice to make, and that is whether you want to give your snail a nose. To give the snail a nose, you're going to need a few inches of yarn, whichever color you choose. I think their noses look kind of like mustaches. But if you're going to tie it to the back here like I've done, then you'll probably want to use the same color as the body, otherwise it's going to have a knot of a different color in the back. And then here I'll show you two ways. You can either use your crochet hook to pull that in through, or you can use your darning needle and just pull it through, and then you're going to trim it to whichever desired size you have for your snail's nose, and Norton the snail will be complete. Thanks for joining me, Shalanku, artist, author, and illustrator. See you soon.